This is Rock Leach with Social Fire, dominating on the football field, dominating off the football field. But what's got the internet going crazy is his fiancée a gold digger? Oh, you don't want to miss this video. All right, family, let's go ahead and get straight into the subject. I want to talk about Travis Hunter for a minute. I want to talk about him. This young man not only dominated on the field, but also in the headlines. He's one of the biggest names in college football right now, a Heisman winner and likely headed for the NFL. But here's the thing. This conversation isn't about his performance on the field. It's about what's happening off the field, specifically in his relationship with his fiancée. Now, for those of you who haven't been keeping up, let me break it down. After a huge game, there was this viral moment. Travis leaned in for what should have been a celebratory kiss. Big game, big win, right? But instead of kissing him, his fiancée seemed to fuss at him about something that happened during the game. This clip alone set social media on fire. People started calling her out, saying she didn't seem supportive. Then, to make things worse, an old video resurfaced where she said Travis wasn't her type. Let's be real. Saying that about your fiancé, that's not exactly what people expect to hear. But here's where it gets complicated. She recently went live on Instagram and tried to explain. She said the reason she called him not her type back then was because he had a girlfriend at the time, and she wasn't trying to entertain him. She even said she doesn't really have a type. Now, most people not buying it. They're calling her a gold digger, saying she's only in this for the money, the fame, and the NFL lifestyle. And with rumors swirling that they're planning to get married before he gets drafted, I believe that's what's supposed to be happening. The internet has some opinions. A lot of people are saying Travis needs to protect himself and get a prenup before walking down the aisle. That's what they're saying. So let's unpack all of this. I want to approach this from a few different angles, especially from the perspective of faith and relationships. Okay, so let's talk about how the Christian community might view this, the role of fame in relationships and the difference between public perception and private reality. First up, let's talk about how the Christian community reacts to things like this. Marriage is sacred. It's not just a contract. It's a covenant between two people and God. So when the idea of prenup comes up, it stirs a lot of emotion. Some Christians believe that a prenup undermines the trust a marriage is supposed to be built on. They'll say, if you're already planning for the marriage to fail, are you actually really committed to the covenant? But then there's another side to this conversation. There are Christians who believe a prenup isn't about planning for failure. It's about being wise. Think about it. Proverbs 22:3 says, the prudent see danger and take refuge, but simple keep going and pay the penalty. Is getting a prenup just another way of taking refuge? Is it about protecting what God has blessed you with? Here's where it gets a little tricky, though. Marriage is supposed to be about two becoming one. Genesis 2:24 says, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. So if the two become one, does it make sense to separate assets with a prenup? Or is it just practical wisdom? I want y'all to answer that. Let me ask you this also. How do we see it? If you were in Travis's shoes, would you consider a prenup? Is it wisdom, or does it show a lack of trust in your future spouse and in God's ability to sustain your marriage? Now, let's shift gears and talk about fame. Fame changes everything, especially when it comes to relationship. It amplifies every little moment. When you're in the spotlight, there is no privacy. Every facial expression, every disagreement, every little misstep can go viral. Take this situation with Travis and his fiancée. That clip of her refusing to kiss him after the game, It's only a few seconds, but the internet ran with it. People saw that moment and started building entire narratives about their relationship. And let's not forget, this isn't just about Travis and his fiance. This happens to many couples in the public eye. Fame adds a layer of pressure most of us will never experience. I mean, it's a lot. So, how do you keep relationships solid? How do you keep it solid when the world is watching your every move? For Christians, the answer has to be keeping God at the center. Matthew 7:24 talks about the wise man who builds his house on the rock. When storms come, and, trust me, fame brings plenty of storms, a relationship built on Christ will stand. But here's the thing. Fame also makes it hard to tell who's really in it for you and who's in it for the lifestyle that comes with you. That's a reality Travis is probably dealing with. How do you know someone loves you and not the idea of who you are? That's a tough question, but it's one we have to consider. Now, let's talk about the timeline here. There's a lot of buzz about them rushing to get married before he's drafted into the NFL. This raises some questions. Is the rush about love, or is it about locking things, in before Travis' life changes even more? When you're in the public eye, the pressure to meet expectations, can be overwhelming. But as Christians, we have to remember that marriage isn't about timing or experiences. It's about God's timing. So, all right, let's address the elephant in the room. Public perception versus private reality. Gotta address this. Relationships are messy. They're full of highs and lows, and sometimes the lows come out of the worst possible moments, like on camera after a big game. That clip of her refusing to kiss him, sure, it looked bad, but we don't know what the full story is. Maybe she was upset about something that happened during the game. Maybe she was just having a bad day, because both of them, since that have come out, have given explanations about what was going on. But do we really know? Relationships are very complex, and it's unfair to judge an entire dynamic based on one viral moment. I mean, that's just the truth. But let me flip this back to us. How quick are we to judge? How often do we see a viral clip and immediately assume we know the whole story? James 1:19 reads us, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. What would happen if we applied that to this situation like this? What if instead of criticizing, we paused and remembered that there's always more to the story? What if? Here's another layer to this. Relationships in the public eye face unique challenges, but they're also serving as a reminder for the rest of us. They remind us the importance of grace, forgiveness, and keeping God at the center. If we're going to talk about this situation, let's do it in a way that lifts them up rather than tearing them down. So here's my challenge for you and all of us. Instead of adding fuel to the fire, let's commit to praying for Travis and his fiancée. Pray for wisdom, pray for discernment, and for their relationship to be rooted in God. Whether they decide to get married or with a prenup or, without a prenup, whether they stay in the spotlight or not, they're going to need God's guidance to navigate the pressures they're facing. And at the end of the day, none of us, and I want to say that again, none of us have it all figured out. Relationships take work, grace, and a whole lot of prayer. So let's not just talk about the drama. Let's use this as an opportunity to reflect on our own relationships and to be a source of encouragement for others. Now, what do you think? I really want to know what you think. Would you get in a relationship with a prenup? Do you think that they need a prenup? How would you handle fame and relationships? And as believers, how can we support couples in the spotlight instead of tearing them down? I want y'all to drop your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. Jump in the comments and let me know your thoughts on Travis Hunter and his fiancée, whether they need a prenup or not. Let's go.